Hi guys, I hope that you're doing really well and practicing radical self-care. In this video today, what I'm going to talk about are the 3 phases of a relationship with a emotional or psychological manipulator, or a narcissist, sociopath, somebody along those lines, or an active addict that's just highly manipulative. So the 3 signs. Well, the 3 stages. The first stage is idealization. That is where somebody puts you on a pedestal, and that is typically coupled with love bombing. And what is love bombing? Well, really, if you look at love bombing, think of it as sort of excessive flattery, or flattery without really knowing you. So it could be somebody who, especially like if you've never met and it's all like via the internet. This could happen with the internet dating. This can happen with Facebook. This can happen with Instagram or social media, where somebody hasn't actually met you and they're doing a lot of flattery. And what they're doing it on essentially is, your image, like what you look like, and their fantasy projection. So anytime somebody is like giving you a lot of like flattery and they've never met you and they don't know you, they don't know if you're a serial killer that chops up people and puts them in your trunk. I'm just kidding. But they're projecting their fantasy onto your image, right? So that's a huge red flag, because that person doesn't actually know you. So there's a lot of fantasy going on there. And so the idealization does have a lot to do with fantasy. And typically, I think with narcissists or manipulators, I'm not even sure that they know that they're doing this, or they even are really cognizant of what they're doing. But essentially, they are projecting their ideas, their fantasy onto you, rather than figuring out who you really are and seeing if they actually like you, right? So there's a lot of flattery. It could be like, you are my soulmate, you're the love of my life, I've never met anyone like you, you're very special, you're so unique. Now, a lot of times with narcissists, they're going to be love bombing you with the things that later on in the relationship, they're going to expect you to feel or say about them. So if they say to you, like, you're very special, you're so unique, really what they want is they want for you to think that about them, that they're so special, they're so unique, they're so perfect, right? Love bombing has to do with, they have you on a pedestal, you can do no wrong, you're just perfect, everything about you is just amazing, and there's a lot of flattery. Now, you have to be really careful. Like, if somebody is doing this to you on internet dating or via text message or via Instagram or Facebook, and they've never actually met you, that's a huge red flag, because they don't know you. So all of their projections are based on fantasy. They're based on what they want, what they're looking for, their ideal love onto your image. Red flag, right? So that's a huge red flag. And then in person, when you meet them, love bombing typically involves getting physical very fast, right? So narcissists are very good at using sex or physical, like hooking up, kissing, whatever, to sort of get their victim, or their target like bonded with them. Because narcissists know, and this goes for both female and male narcissists, I do not believe that this is just one gender, but they know that sex is a bonding agent. The oxytocin and the hormones that occur during sex, or during making out, during kissing, during snuggling, like, those are natural hormones that I believe God created for us to bond with another person, right? For us to have this connection with another person. And so narcissists know that's true, that getting really sexual early on will create a false sense of intimacy, right? Because it's rushing the physical intimacy. The problem with it is it's not creating emotional intimacy, right? So if there's just the physical and there's really not emotional intimacy, which requires authenticity, honesty, vulnerability, just being like an open book and being your true self, that, emotional intimacy is very different than physical intimacy. So narcissists will use sex to hook you in. They will use flattery to hook you in. Also, they tend to have this incredible speed in the relationship. They're trying to rush the relationship. And quite often, with narcissists, they are not respecting your boundaries if you are trying to create a slower pace. If you're trying to go slow, get to know the person, and they're rushing you, that means they're saying to you, I don't respect your speed. I don't respect your pace. I'm not going to go slow because I want what I want and I have no respect for you. So really what they're really saying is, I don't respect you. And I don't know about you, but I don't tolerate it anymore. I don't tolerate being around people that don't respect me because I am a person that deserves respect and I respect others, right? So that is one thing. If they're rushing the relationship, they want to rush it. They want to move in together quickly. They want to, get physical real fast. They want to start calling you pet names really quickly on, before you're just new in the relationship and all of a sudden they're calling you all these like endearing pet names. That's another thing that narcissists actually do. They create a false sense of intimacy by calling you their boyfriend or girlfriend or lovey or darling or babe or whatever. They're using a lot of those pet names to make you think that there's this intimacy, but it's a false intimacy, right? So that's the idealization. And during that phase, you can do no wrong. And you feel, if you're a codependent or trauma survivor from childhood, you might be very susceptible to love bombing. You might be internally saying all this crap about yourself. So when somebody says something really, really positive, it's like you eat it up, right? But unfortunately, if you're with a manipulator or a narcissist, that's the idealization phase. And then they're going to start devaluing you. They're going to start picking you apart. And it could be little tiny insults, very subtle, very sort of hidden. But it's like, or they'll say something positive combined with something negative. And they're just going to start chipping away at your self-esteem. And then it's like, you can do no right. Like nothing you do is good enough. And that creates often in the recipient this, especially if you're a codependent, you think you've got to earn love, right? So you're like, you're going to work harder to be more perfect and make this person happy. But I say when somebody starts to devalue you, especially when it was the dichotomy of them idealizing you and then devaluing you, that's a giant gap. And if they start doing that, that is a red flag. You should get out of that relationship, or at least consider like, they went from thinking I could do no wrong and I was perfect to now I can do no right. There's something wrong here, right? So really start to look at that if somebody is devaluing you. And it could be drastic and quick and very obvious, or it could be very subtle and like a frog being boiled in water slowly over time. And then eventually what is going to happen is the narcissist is going to discard you, and they are going to do it sometimes in the most egregious way. When you've gone through a difficult trauma, like you may have had a death in the family, or like in my case, my brother died of a drug overdose and I found his body, and that was during the discard phase with the narcissist. And there was just absolutely like no empathy. My brother was one of my best friends. It was like horrific, the lack of empathy that was shown to me during that time. So, it's one of those things where idealization, devaluation, discard, right? And typically a narcissist is not going to discard you unless they have secured a new source of supply, or they're pretty close to securing a new source of supply. Like they cannot be alone, right? Ever. So pretty much they're going to be frantically looking for a new source of supply as soon as they get any idea or any whiff that maybe you're not willing to tolerate their shenanigans anymore. But yeah, idealization, devaluation, and discard. And if you're in a long-term relationship with a narcissist, first of all, I'm so sorry. I know your pain. Second of all, this devaluation could be very slow and subtle and over a long period of time. So you might not even be aware that it's occurring. It could also be these idealization, devaluation, discard could also be throughout the relationship in what's considered an abuse cycle. So if this is happening to you, and if somebody is coming on real strong when you first meet them, or they're saying all sorts of flattering things and they don't even know you, I really encourage you to consider that at a bare minimum a yellow flag. But really, it's probably a red flag. So really be paying attention to those early behaviors of, intense flattery, trying to rush the relationship, trying to rush the sex, ignoring the pace that you're trying to go at if you're trying to slow it down. Hope this helps you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.